So Saturday night is absolutely, without a doubt, 100% the tale of two fights. Right? You think about the co-main event. We get Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Zhang Weili. Turns out to be one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. Guaranteed it's one of the best fights in UFC history. It's going to be going into the Hall of Fame as soon as if there's like a time qualification or for whatever before it passes. Like, that fight was phenomenal. Both ladies showed incredible heart, endurance, discipline, top-notch skill sets. Couldn't have asked for more. Through the roof. Then we go to the main event. All the hype in the world. Both these guys got incredible backgrounds. Can't wait to see how the fight turns out. And then you're sitting there watching paint dry. Man, that was a rough one. And sometimes it happens like that. Typically, you don't see those types of things play out. But occasionally, you watch enough fights, and you're going to see something that you thought would have been awesome turn out to just be a bum performance, right? And of course, everybody wants to look right away and pass the blame. Who's to blame? Whose fault is it? Why did it turn out this way? And I don't know, man. Sometimes things just happen like that. You know, it's kind of weird how fights go. And if you really want to break it down, obviously hindsight's 2020. Adesanya is by nature, he's a counter striker. He likes to apply pressure. He'll come forward, but he walks you down with the mindset of a counter puncher. He'll lead and he'll do some things and shoot shots out there. Don't get me wrong, and take control of the action. But ultimately, he really wants to do the most of his damage and primarily do a lot of his work counter punching. Wants you to lead, then he's going to follow. Right? When it works, it's a beautiful style. Yoel Romero decided that he was going to play the role of the ultimate counterpuncher and just wait 100% Saturday night. And that turned out to be a little bit rough, you know. I think he started to adapt that style because of the cardio issues that he was facing earlier in his career. And he looked and he's like, you know, being explosive works great for me. Being able to catch guys off guard, use my natural physical abilities and talents, incorporate it into my style. That's really what I need to do, but I need to figure out a way that I don't get gassed. So he kind of adapted this style where he does a lot of sitting and a lot of waiting, a lot of standing around, lulls people into a false sense of security. They start to catch a different timing in a rhythm of the fight, and then all of a sudden he just explodes out of control and catches guys. And it's been working pretty well for him when you see him do it. But I think he took that a little bit too far Saturday night. I mean, when he came out there and in the first, I don't know what it was, 30 seconds, first 60 seconds, he literally stood there flat-footed, 50% weight on both feet, just completely flat-footed, and put both hands up in a high guard with his elbows tucked in. And literally just stood there. Sometimes he didn't even pivot to follow when Adesanya was moving. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be painful. This is going to be brutal. It turned out that that's exactly what happened. I mean, clearly Adesanya won the fight. I mean, he was the one that any work that was done, he was the one who did it. Caught Yoel with some good, with a few good shots here and there. Didn't hurt him, but you know, he was hitting the legs. He was shooting little jabs here and there. When Yoel would open up, he would be able to, he'd step back and he'd shoot some counters and everything. So like, he clearly won the fight, and he executed his game plan probably at the most basic level that he wanted to. Showed a few of the skills that he wanted to show as far as what he's bringing to the table and everything. It's just a unfortunate performance. It wasn't a bad performance by Adesanya by any stretch of the imagination. Like, you got to play the cards that you're dealt. Okay, he was confronted with a fighter who's incredibly dangerous, incredibly explosive, but does not want to engage, but has the ability to engage at any time and can get you out of there. You know, so he played it correctly. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Just because Romero wanted to play that way, is he supposed to like forget about his game plan? He's supposed to drop all of his awareness. He's supposed to come in and just try to act like Romero's a punching bag and just stand in front of him and unload shots. Like, you can't do those things, man. I mean, it may sound good. It may look good from the outside. You turn around and you're like, oh, what's he doing? He could just stand there and light him up, and he could knock him out, and he could get, man, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. That's what Romero wanted. Yoel Romero wanted him to come in and stand in front of him flat-footed and start to throw shots so that he could line up that left hand and explode, so that he could line up that flying knee and just uncork it and hopefully walk away with the one-shot knockout and the belt that he's always been wanting. I mean, Izzy fought that perfectly. You know, it sucked to watch. As a fan, you don't like the fight. But from his perspective, he's like, I got to get the win. This is the way this is the style that I'm being confronted with. This is the way I'm going to rack up that win. This is the way that I'm going to fight. You know, so he did. And it wasn't the most entertaining. It wasn't the greatest. But it worked. And now we're talking about Adesanya versus Paulo Costa for his next title defense instead of Romero versus Paulo Costa for his first title defense. Right? And that's the way you got to look at it. It's like Emmanuel Stewart used to say, we'll worry about looking good next time. We're just going to worry about winning tonight. You know, because sometimes, you have great game plans. You go into these training camps. You come into the fight. And all of a sudden, it's the third or fourth round. And you realize, like, man, this isn't going the way that I want. Things don't feel good. I'm not able to get my shots off. Things aren't working well. That's when you have to tell guys, like, look, man, we're going to worry about looking good next time. We'll look good next fight. Tonight, we just need to worry about winning. Because sometimes that's all that counts. Sometimes you need to look at it and you can't worry about putting on an impressive performance. You can't worry about doing things that are going to set you up great in the media for the next big payday or the next big fight. Sometimes you just got to worry about winning. And Saturday night, Izzy wasn't worried about winning because it was so much of a grind that he had to try to snatch the victory away. He had to worry about just winning in the sense of just get out with the W. Don't do anything stupid that's going to expose you. And don't worry so much about what the fans and the media are going to say. And that's exactly what he did, man. Congratulations to him. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. So, wasn't the best for the fans, but he showed a good skill set. He showed that he prepared. He showed that he's got what it takes. Showed again with his takedown defense and being able to get up and things like that from a takedown. Should the whole Jon Jones saga play out, which I don't think it will, because I think Jon Jones is going to move up to heavyweight, but that's another video. So, again, love to know what you guys think. Leave it in the comments below. Wasn't the best fight, but definitely looking to see what happens next for Adesanya. Romero, his stock kind of dropped a little bit, man. Not so sure anybody's going to be willing to jump in there with him right away, but love to see what happens. So, stay tuned, guys. Fight game is always interesting.